Get back, nigga! Get back!
What's going on, guys? It's your boy R.A.S, and here today I got something a little different. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm a real big anime fan, and I wanted to try something that I think that I would like doing, and I think that everybody would appreciate is going over manga and reviews and anime and chapters, all that. So, I am a big Chainsaw Man fan, and the anime came out like last year, maybe around September, October-ish, and I've been absolutely in love with it. And for people like me who can't wait and want to see what happens next and not wait on the anime to take 5 years to finish up, that's kind of my goal here today. So, I'm going to be going over so episode 12 of Chainsaw Man ended in kind of like 75% ish of chapter 38, and it goes into chapter 39. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to review over chapter 38, what happened in the anime or what happened in the manga before the anime ended. And then I'm going to go over the last part that the anime didn't include. And then I'm going to go over chapter 39. So, yeah, it's a lot of Chainsaw Man. But, bear with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try my best on this first one. And yeah, thank you for watching. So, reviewing chapter 38, the chapter starts with Katana Man waking up and realizing he has been tied to a train. And if we remember, Denji won the fight between him and Katana Man. Denji says, and I quote, "So you did wake up, huh? Guess you really are the same as me." Because Katana Man's hybrid looks similar to Denji's hybrid form. Denji also says, and I quote, "You drew that sword in your hand so that your body that was cut in half stuck back together too." But Katana Man just gets mad and starts yelling, I'll kill you to Denji. So Denji's just like, shut up, you loser. We're going to have to wait for the police to come and get you. And there are a few things that I can't accept. So Denji also says, you killed Himeno. Because of you, the world lost a good-looking woman. And right here, leave it to Denji to remember Himeno's looks rather than her memory. But we all know what Denji is getting at. And he also says, since you're going to be living in jail for the rest of your life, I'm not okay with ending it like that. And then Katana Man's just like, there's nothing you could do about it. You're just one of public safety's lapdogs. So Denji thinks to himself and says, I'm going to start a tournament now. And Katana Man's like, what? What do you mean? And we see Aki pull up, and Denji looks over, and he's like, perfect timing. Aki then says Himeno wouldn't be happy about us doing something like that. And Denji's just like, okay, and like, what does it have to do with me? And then we see Aki pull out the cigarette the ghost devil gave him, saying easy revenge on it. And Aki looks down on it and says, hey. And then we see Aki ask Denji, what does he get if he wins? I feel like this is great character development because we all know that Aki used to hate Denji, and the fact that he's able to bond with him in a kind of sort of messed up way is kind of heartwarming in a way, but leave it to Denji to want to kick someone's balls as a torture. But then we see Denji later say you get to keep what's left of his balls as the prize and gift. And later we see the police arresting the terrorists, and we see the angel devil looking up at the sky. And if we remember, the angel devil, her power is if you are in physical contact with her, then you lose your lifespan. And then we see a feat where she blocked bullets. I think Aki was getting shot by bullets in episode 11. And she blocked it with one of her wings, or one of his wings. And he can also probably fly with them too. So, yeah, the Angel Fiend is looking kind of crazy. And then we just get these funny panels of Denji and Aki having a fun time kicking the mess out of Katana Man. Then the pages cut to Makima talking to this mystery man behind the desk, saying the terrorist attack was planned by a former devil hunter, Sawatari. She was contracted with the gun devil and passed guns to the Yakuza. For in exchange, Sawatari demanded the Chainsaw Devil's heart. The man asks why did she want the Chainsaw Devil's heart, and Makima says, unfortunately, before they could interrogate Sawatari, an automatic suicide was part of the gun devil's contract that they had. So yeah, she's dead. But Makima says in the cleanup of the incident, we managed to siege 1.4 kgs of fragments from the gun devil inside the building, combined with the 5 kg that they already have managed to gather. And it was finally starting to move in the direction of the main body of the gun devil. And the guy says, where has the fragments started moving towards? But then the page cuts to Denji dreaming of this door, and he says, the dream I always have, the dream I always forget. And we hear Pojita's voice coming from the door, calling to Denji, and Denji's like, oh, come out, at least let me pet you in my dreams, because obviously we know Pojita is dead. But then Pojita calls Denji's name, and Pojita says, don't ever open this door. Weird, right? So we see Denji wake up from this terrible nightmare, and as we see the aftermath of dinner last night, when Aki is sleeping on Denji's foot and Power is just knocked out under the table, Denji sits up and is trying to recall his dream or his nightmare, and Power looks at him and is like, "You're too loud." And then Denji looks at Power, and he sees that she has horns on her head, and he's like, what? This must be another dream. Like, Power doesn't have horns. And then she's like, what are you talking about? And then she punches Denji so hard that he hits the top of the ceiling. And she's looking at herself and is like, what power is this? And Denji just realizes that this is not a dream, obviously. And that's the end of chapter 38. But in the anime, after Denji's dream, the scene cuts to this mysterious girl that called Denji's name and asks, between a country mouse and a city mouse, which one would you rather be? As we see this door close to the shop. And I thought this was great by the anime only to have this in, because it gives so much better foreshadowing when, that last scene isn't that really much of an important part. All right, so we are going into heavy manga spoilers. So if you are an anime only, then please leave. Please leave, bro. This is manga. All right, we ain't on the anime no more, my boy. Okay, so chapter 39 picks up, and the chapter's name is Sudden Tears. So we see Makima examining Powers, saying, "These horns, you drank too much blood, didn't you?" And then she says, did you drink a lot during the battle with the zombies? You need to be sure to drain the blood. And Power, sweatingly because of Makima's presence, says, yes, ma'am. And Denji's like, drain the blood? Like, what do you mean? And Makima goes on to explain, Power here has her blood drained periodically. If we didn't do that, she would become an even more scary threat than she already is, essentially. So then Makima asks Denji, do you mind if I borrow Power for a little bit while we drain the blood? And Denji's like, sure, I don't care. Take her off me. And Power still in shock while she has to stay with Makima because of her presence, because she's, scary. And like, don't get me wrong, like, Makima, she's very, what I'm saying, scary. She's a very scary female. And then Makima says, as for your buddy, while I'm borrowing her, he mentioned wanting to pair up with you. And then we see a random shark fin coming up off the ground. Then we get this funny panel of the shark fiend jumping on the Denji, praising him, saying his name, and then Denji's like, yo, get off me, and then punches the mess out of him. So if we remember from episode 11 from Chainsaw Man, it is explained that the shark's fiend power is to swim, like he can swim through any surface, and he can also transform into his devil. So, bro really out here just going through walls and just biting people's heads off because that's just crazy. So we see Denji ask Miss Makimo, who is this? And she says, he is the shark fiend and he likes you and he'll do anything you say. And of course, Denji's like, yo, that's weird. Like, why is he doing that? And she says, I don't know. Maybe the resemblance is just the same. And then we just see the Shark Fiend jump on the Denji again, and then Denji's like, "Yo, bro, get off me! I'm not into dudes." And we get this shot of Denji's sad face, and Makima's like, "You look kind of down." And then Denji replies, "I've never been better," obviously in the tone that, like, he's not better. But then Miss Makima says, "Well, in that case, you want to go on a date on our day off tomorrow?" And Denji's like, a date? Like, what?" So then it cuts to the next day, and we see Denji outside of a cinema, jumping and excited to go on this date. And then we hear Miss Makima call out to Denji saying, "You're already here, Denji? It's still an hour early." Then we see this panel of Miss Makima in this dress, and I can't blame Denji right here. She is looking kind of bad. I ain't gonna lie. And Miss Makima asks Denji, "When did you get here?" And Denji says, "I couldn't sleep, so I've been here since 5 in the morning." So Denji asks Miss Makima, like, "What are we doing today?" And Miss Makima's like, "So we're gonna watch a bunch of movies until midnight." So Denji's like, "What?" And then it cuts to them watching the first movie, and then Denji's like, "This movie's not really what I was expecting." And then he hears people laughing, and he's like, "Everybody's laughing." And then he looks over at Miss Makima, and Miss Makima isn't laughing, so he's like, she isn't laughing, but she's so pretty." After the movie, they're sitting on a table and they're like, "Ah, yeah, I really didn't like that one." And so they watch the next movie and everyone starts crying. And then Denji looks over at Miss Makima again, and then she's not crying either. But he also comments again on how she's so pretty. And then after that one, they're sitting saying, "Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of tearjerkers." Then Miss Makima comments on how the score was nice and the plot was contrived, but it was just a really generic movie. But then she goes on to say this last one, the reviews for this one say it's a bit complex and hard to follow, but do you want to watch it? And Denji says, "Honestly, I was kind of iffy about all of them so far. Maybe I just really don't get movies." But then Miss Makima says, "That's how it was for me too. I only get into maybe 1 out of 10 movies I try, but there have been times that one movie changed my life." So we see Denji and Miss Makima in the last movie, and obviously we can see no one else is in there because no one else liked the movie because she says the plot was too complex for just anybody just to watch it. But as the movie goes on, they start crying, and Denji looks over to see Miss Makima's crying, and she is crying, and Denji just realizes it and just turns away and watches the rest of the movie. So as they're walking back from the movie, they're commenting saying, "Oh yeah, like this part of the movie was good and this part of the movie was good." But then Denji looks at Miss Makima, asks her, "Hey, Miss Makima, do you think I have a heart?" And then Miss Makima looks at him and is like, "Why are you asking me that?" And he's like, "I don't really know why." And then she just looks up and then she just places her head on top of Denji and she hears the thumping sounds of his heart. And then she takes her head off and just looks at him in the eye and says, "You have one," and then just walks away. And then Denji's like, "What? Like, what happened?" And then he's like, I have one?" And then that's where chapter 39 ends. So the reason why Denji asked this is because if we remember in episode 11 or 10, I believe, when he's leaving the hospital where Aki is at, he wonders why like he hasn't cried because, Himeno died and a lot of people that he was close with died too that was in, the agency. And so he asked Miss Makima this to see, like, does she think, because, he thinks highly of Miss Makima, does she think Denji has a heart? And so that's why he asked. So, final thoughts on this chapter. I thought it was a very good chapter. It's not action packed after that last, fight we had with Denji. It's a chill character development chapter that I thought was really good. I felt like it gave a lot of information, and I felt like it gave a lot of character development between the two, Denji and Miss Makima, for them going on the date. And we also have to see what this shark fiend is talking about that is going to be with Denji while Power has to get um, her blood drained by her. So, but I'm pretty sure we'll see in the next chapter what's going on. But thank you guys for all watching. Let me know any feedback in the comments to make this any better experience. And let me know anything in the comments that I miss personally. Uh, I'm gonna try and upload these weekly or as much as possible, 2 times a week, I say. But this does take a lot of time. But thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day.